I think both you and Momoyo really, when you work on exhibitions, you rarely create like a sacred display where you kind of monumentalize the art. I think on the other hand, I think both your practices, you really challenge the art on display. And it always has a sense of humor. I think if we look at the display Momoyo did with Atelier Bauer in 2014 of Poetry Will Be Made by All, it's really has the same feeling. Like I think your exhibition display really changed the White Cube Gallery into a productive studio space. Momoyo, how do you approach exhibitions in general? What do you think the role of displays should take in?
Yes, thank you. We at Bauer always, we like art exhibition, but also we also sometimes we also design as our some small, we call it a micro public space in some large frame of the exhibition. And then also we sometimes coordinate or support to the spatial design for exhibition space. And then this one is more like focusing on what kind of production or what kind of art would be exhibited on the space. So that's why the bit these two exhibition idea is coming to different way. But I think this LUMA case, this is a kind of sharing. So the many artists, younger artists coming into the exhibition, and they need some presentation format in the spaces. And also the theme is how express their artwork through the a computer or PC generation to more on-demand and hand-in system to produce the art. So that's why the whole process will be shared and exhibit in the space. So that's why we set up the line, but the line is not only one singular line, so it's kind of loop. So that circulation, it always output is also becomes the seed of the first one. So that's why this whole circulation is one idea of the creative idea. And also some place were more speech or a poetry, some more sounds to directory, and some people to record or recording as a book or text, and then hanging, and then also rewrite and designing and printing and outcoming to as a book. But the book is also coming to at first separately and standing for more individual like a person. And then these books, they're coming into the book we call manga pots, so big bookshelves. So that's why all process is kind of interesting the behavior around art and production and materiality and the physical and so on. So that is our idea. So then we bring many also the small spaces this images is like a arena. So people can stand and in front of the arena and speak to them. But also the people can also exhibit on the stage. So that's why this viewer or audience or performer, it's always both sides will be possible. So that this kind of exchange of the position of the creation, it's also our theme. Yes.
So the artists themselves are present in this presentation or in this situation?
Yes, I was once event, and also I was stand once. But something so there are always some artists coming into the place and they perform, or they also make a poetry, And also sometimes this poetry were already published, but also it's also more like a library art. So yes.
The exhibition was called Poetry Will Be Made by All, which is a reference to an exhibition which took place in 1969 at the Moderne Museum, curated by Pontus Hultend and Ronald Hunt. And this show now, which kind of resaw this historic model, was curated by Hans Ulrich Obrist, Simon Castets, and Kenneth Goldsmith. And basically, they asked the question: what does the written word, what does poetry mean in kind of the digital age? And they established this production site designed by Atelier Bauer to, on the one hand, host events, have readings, poetry gatherings, but also to produce books. And I think they almost produced 1,000 books by 1,000 authors, which would then kind of fill up the space Momoyo showed us before.
Yeah. Really sounds really great. And when was this?
In 2014.
Yes.
Good. Yeah, Momoyo, you forget when things are happening. Time goes so quickly.
Yes.
But quite interesting, I think, to share the relation between you both, because the main element, as you described, Momoyo, was this black circular curtain rail that goes through the space. And of course, that's really similar to Petra's approach, that you have a really industrial curtain system which can be used in variable ways. Yeah,
the track is an important choreographing tool, right?
We like also the always the curtain is very beautiful, and we try to always do sometimes in our idea. For example, once we did also pet architecture museum. So in the Venice, in that case, so we make a square, kind of several curtain laid, and then also hanging. So in Japan, so we have a noren. It's called a textile, and then it's a kind of door, but with a textile. So, for example, in front of the restaurant, so people can enter. So something so. We always also try to test also the textile, but this time it will be also hanging the paper and the different materiality. And then also this time, so we also did interesting closet. So one maybe in the photo I saw. So people, because in the winter, I think Switzerland, everybody has a very big jacket. So that's why so they need to take off in the room, so because it's very warm. So that's why so they can put in the jacket on the hanger, and then they can roll up on the top. So that's kind of interaction and interest the activities. It's also one of these. Yes.
Yeah, very good idea. Yeah.
Thank you.
And also very typical how high they hang their own coat, or this interaction between coats becomes also a kind of social happening, I suppose.
Yeah.
And a display as well. I think everything is also a display, something between display, interaction, and production too, right? So all these different functions, they are open.
Yeah, take off your coat and then,
Yes. Yeah, and I also like how people can start to move. So with this material. So I think we don't explain not so much in the exhibition space, but people could understand how behave and how it will be a bit different from original moving. So it's a little bit fun, or a little bit strange, or a little bit crazy. But
an explanation can be extremely irritating, so don't do it. Did your prediction come true? All race car drivers in year 2020 will be women. Did it come true or not yet?
Yeah.
Who put it there? Was it you? Who put the text?
I don't know.
Okay. Maybe Hans Ulrich did. Let's ask.
The writing, I think it's by Carl Holmquist. That is written on the walls. But it's interesting because your behavior seems to be like the central theme. And your chair at the ETH is even called behaviorology. So maybe if you can quickly explain to us what it is, behaviorology, and how you apply it.
Oh, okay. Yes. My ETH is our chair. It's called architecture behaviorology. And in this chair, so we try to understand how architecture form is related to some context or condition. So, and then, for example, people behavior, and also the building behavior, and also like climate or heat behavior. So always related to the architecture form. And then if we started to separately these three, so it's boring, but if we could integrate all these environmental so condition into the form, so that might be very interesting. So that's why so we always ask to us and also students to how the architecture could behave. So that means, of course, architecture is sometimes solid and static, but for example, my window is also the summer and the winter is very different behave. And also like climate makes sometimes the weathering of the material. So aged, like timber becomes gray, or stone becomes warm and the heat contains something like. So that's why so that if we could see the detail of the material, or like some micro environment of the material or building itself, so we could see more dynamic way. So that's why so like we testing to the several area, not only the city area. Sometimes we bring many some rural area like forest or like agriculture farm. So because this rural area has a more like relationship, a more strong relationship between the nature and the building and also people. So we could understand more deeply so how the building and the architecture and people and nature are related. So that's why so our chair tried to share this topic. Yes.
I understand more and more, Momoyo, wife, Niels and Fredi invited us together because it's a very much overlapping mentality in a way. The interest of interaction and action. And if you have a project for a client, for someone who asks you to make their house, you have enormous conversations, of course, to understand what their behavior is or what they want their behavior to become or to be or to accentuate, what their dreams are, what their fantasies are about a future environment in which they want to perform, work, or live, or sleep, or cook. So it's very much about that and about views through windows, the influence of inside to outside, obviously, climate change, moisture, heat, cold. It's exactly all these elements that forms the work we do at Inside Outside as well, except that we don't make architecture.
But in your case, Petra, I would say you play with these desires. You don't just like fulfill them, that you see, like in this exhibition, we had the desire of walls. The exhibition was about these groupings that we thought, now today that you don't have genres in contemporary art anymore, as you used to have like still lifes, portrait painting, you don't have this anymore. Maybe it's like artists that replied to what other artists did that create new genres. So we had like one room that was just with shopping bags, from Sylvie Fleury to Isa Gensken to Cosima von Bonin to Maria Eichhorn, and then this appropriation of these fontanas by different artists. But like our desire kind of was that we needed to have walls and kind of classical museum separation to present these different chapters or genres of art, but you subverted it. So I would argue, like, is this like a subverted version of a very classical museum enfilade that you did?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the works we also asked you, what are you going to show? Huh? So you literally sent us images of the works you were going to show, and also the groupings. You explained to us how they were going to be formed, and so it was also a reaction to. I mean, you can't hang this on a wall. You must agree. You have to look through. That's the whole point. I think. And Fontana made these layers behind. And this obscene, wonderful prick and Kant paintings were also quite, challenging to do something with. Yes, it looks, and it's actually built, as you very well know, of existing structures that are in the museum already. And so we reused something that was already used to make screens, right? And then just placed them at parallel to create a wall-like volume with a certain status. You know, if it's very thin, it doesn't have any status. If it's thick and it's more stable, it has a certain architectural feel to it, a spatial feel to it, and enveloping with this very banal stuff, quite obscene actually, and sensual stuff. And, you know, the sensation, your emotion is almost symbolized by this movement of the plastic as you enter. It reacts to heat and it reacts to air movement. And of course, it's a bit Lina Bobardi that you see the other side of the painting, you see the backside. And so that again relates to Momoyo's work or Bow Wow, that you also show the secrets, and that's again connected to the Sonnefeld house, which you might show later, where you show the secrets behind, you know, what you usually don't see, you make visible. And also the connections between your organized groupings is also challenged because, you know, you see them all at the same time instead of going from room to room, which you usually have in a museum.
But I like, Petra, that your background almost looks like these invisible walls we had at LUMA. It also looks like a plastic wrapping.
Yeah.